in everything. Because if you believe in nothing, to dismantle everything, what you would call Marxist socialist attack, to dismantle everything. Now, there's a reason there's a dismantling of society, all religion and everything. Because if you believe in nothing, then Satan can guide you under his new world order, the mark of the beast. And we are right within the crosshairs of it. And we're going to talk about why. Elder, if you can dive into the title for the next academy here, for the next academy lesson.
All right. So for week number 6, we have a lesson breaking down the kingdoms of prophecy. We have a breakdown of Daniel's visions and the rise of world empires. Basically, we'll be breaking down Daniel, the 7th chapter, but in conjunction with that, we'll also deal with Daniel's 8, as well as Daniel's 11, and showing how that relates not only to ancient world prophecy, but modern day prophecy. So that's what we'll be covering this week.
So we're going to take the 4 beasts of Daniel to the next level this coming Sunday. Be there or be square. Historytimes.org. One thing about these lessons, they keep us together. All right. Now, before going into the lesson, you know, ever so often, Elder, what I like to do is I like to warn our brothers and sisters, especially those who are within the body, who come in with expectations to work and bring forth a brick towards the kingdom. All right. And I want to talk about this real quick before going into the lesson. Brothers, elders on down, start brothers or sisters. But here's the reality. We as elders are only a few men, and we have no control of who walk in the door with intentions outside of what's established through the ministry. It's outside of what's established through the ministry. What we expect that when you go into a church anywhere on the earth, that you are in positions to do exactly that. Impeccable leaders who are in position. All praise be to the Most High. I can't say enough about the leadership that's in place, who have their hands to the plow and doing the best they can to help our people. That's number one. But number two, one cannot ignore the ambitions of people. We're coming into a time of austerity where people are panicking based on what's ever going on in the world, and they'll see people, even if it's not consciously, I don't want to blame people, as what? As a way to sustain themselves, okay, without going through the proper channels. All right. So if somebody come to you about anything they're going on with, you direct them to the leaders, because people are not supposed to put their burdens on the members of the church concerning what's going on with them personally, with anything. We have enough burdens ourselves. Okay. And that's what the leaders are in position for. So if somebody coming to you with a burden and trying to get you to give them this and do that, like, well, hold up. You got to talk to the guy up there. Okay. Don't come to us with that. Right. We have enough burdens to carry ourselves. And guess what? We are charitable. We care and all that, but don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of. Okay. We can't vouch for every person who walked through church doors. Okay. So protect yourselves. All right. That's number one. And I'm saying this from the pulpit, so that, right here, so that there's no gray areas. All right. For no reason can someone come inside a church where they were sent to be guided by the Almighty and set up some type of business in that area, or in that church, to siphon people under themselves. Okay. That's heresy. People don't come to a church for that. They come to church to hear the word of the Most High in preparation for what's about to happen. So if somebody come peddling something to you or whatever the case is, let them know. Have you checked with the elders for this? Okay. Have you spoken with the leaders about this? All right. Because guess what? You see what's going on with the Somalians in America and all these. Nothing can stop them. These people can go into a church and start their scams there. Okay? And again, you come into the churches to learn. And immediately that fervent spirit to support and help can get exploited if you're not careful. And that'll be a stumbling block to you, because you'll say, well, hold up. Elder Rikosh Yar was watching them online and he sent me to a place and this happened to me or that happened to me. Elder Rikosh Yar and lawyer sent us there. So now it's my responsibility to let you know that no, if you see something going on that you know isn't from right here, you reach out and let us know. There's an email, gatheringas1@AOL.com, and we will straighten things out and make sure that you receive what you come in to work for, to build with what you've witnessed right here. Okay? All of you who work in this church is an extension of the work the Most High have started in this ministry. And we don't want you to get discouraged by other people who come in to do their own thing. Okay, y'all understand? All right, let's go. All right. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. Maria. Thank you, Maria. I'm gonna send you an I Am Royal hat from our sewing team. Thank you. I Love Ahia. Brand new hats we're going to send out to you, Maria. All right. We're going to send it to you. Keep in Focus 67. We're going to send you a hat. I Love Ahia. Andre Allen. We're going to send you a hat. I Love Ahia. We're going to send it out to you. There were some gifts that was given to us for giveaways. Send an email to gatheringas1@AOL.com with your name and address, and we're going to send you a I Love Ahia hat. Okay? All right. Another thing. The Bible says, call no man rabbi or master. And I'm making this clear because sometimes people come through here, our work in the Almighty, and they'll do, listen, brothers and sisters, I don't care if you're learning martial arts or anything. You ain't supposed to call no man master. There's only one master, and that's our Father in heaven. Okay, let me make it clear. We ain't supposed to be setting up some stuff, having people in a dojo calling people master. We ain't into that. No, listen, I make it clear when I'm amongst brothers. Yeah. Hey, no. I'm a brother just like you. I'm no master, I'm no nothing. I'm not a rabbi. Of course, the elder is a title for the church. But at the end of the day, I'm just a brother. Okay, so we're not going to have that thing where people are running around making underlings of other people, having them call them master and all this other stuff. No. Okay? Let me put that out there. Now, another thing, and of course, the reins are going to be loosened this year because this Passover, I'm going to make an announcement on where it'll be. It's very soon. I think y'all going to appreciate the location. All right. Well, this year, Elder Lawyer, at the mass baptism, the leaders all spoke and we all talked. And we're going to do something a little different this Passover. This Passover, we lightening up things a little bit, with security and everything else. Lightening things up. And it's going to be the leaders of all the churches who will be there in the morning greeting the whole congregation of people into the center. The Bible says the greatest amongst you shall be your servant. Well, what you can look forward to as the people enter, before you come in, all the leaders of the church, according to the deacons, captains, as well as elders, we're all invite and also roll out the white carpet for all those who will be walking into the next Passover. And that's man, woman, and child. The Most High have done what he needed to do amongst the body where the people here. We have trusted leadership who's in it to the end. And guess what? It's a blessing to have these men amongst us as we're about to go through the toughest time since man lived on earth, which is the final tribulation of earth before Christ's return. And I really want to show along with the body who will welcome into the next Passover. So brothers and sisters, I know usually there's security measures and all these things, and I come in with security, and believe it or not, it was warranted. A lot of you don't understand some of what we receive when it comes to messages and all that, where we have to bolster security. I don't tell you all about that, okay? But hey, it's in the hands of the Most High, and we're going to lighten up this Passover and invite you all in, and we will be your servants this coming Passover. I wanted to make that announcement real quick. All praises be to the Most High. The location will be announced soon. And last but not least, Elder, you know what's coming up. That's right, the Feast of Tabernacles, starting September 12th, sundown. We'll be out on the land. We'll be out there, campgrounds all around the earth, celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles. Where the earth is a tent, people are going to have their RVs, they're going to have their tents, their makeshift, and we're going to be all out there for a week, camping and celebrating the Feast of Booths according to the word of God. Okay? And through this, I pray that this tabernacle bring all families together. We'll have events during the week, right? We're gonna pray every night. We're gonna sit down with the leaders for at least 30 minutes to an hour every day, just to catch up on things. And it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful week of tabernacles. That's right, where the earth is the tent and the Most High is looking down on his chosen. At the Feast of Tabernacles, September 12th, be there, be there, be there. And I will be making more announcements before that time. So, Elder, let's jump right in now. Boy, the children are excited about Tabernacle 2026. But I'm going to tell you, parents, we have to keep our eyes on those teenagers now. I'll tell you all that. Keep these teenagers. Hey, we're going to have chaperones and everything. We're going to be, listen, we don't want to hear about no shenanigans now. All right. It's going to be a blessed, holy week for Tabernacle. All right. Now, Elder, let's jump right into the broadcast. Here it is at 7:20 Eastern.
Yes, sir.
Right. Let's talk about it. The historical plans to destroy the black man. Folks, they've been using false archaeology. We're going to go into this tonight. And they've been using false history. And what they've used since the inception of this country is a satanic science called eugenics, aimed towards destroying the black gene of the tribe of Judah. And if you don't understand it, you will understand everything tonight concerning why and now what to do. Okay? You will understand why they set up what they call a democratic socialist party of Marxists to finish what Esau set up when this country, the United States, was established. The Gentiles are only the buffer to be utilized, that's right, as tools to destroy us. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. And this was prophesied. But at the end of it, they lose. and we win. You'll also understand today why the children of Israel and the black men in particular, Judah, is so important. Hit that like button, right? Now, before going into this, I would have to give you an update on the humiliation ritual that's going on amongst the tribe of Levi here in the USA, in the United States, now that they have really taken away the temporary status of so-called migrants. Okay? The temporary status they have taken away intentionally. Now, I told people years ago under the Biden administration, right after what? Right after George Floyd, right after that election, there was some shenanigans with that too, allegedly. That out of nowhere, I was getting reports that they were letting Haitians in the United States in the hundreds of thousands. And I'm hearing this real time from people who are from Haiti, that they've never seen nothing like that. Haitians are being led over here in numbers unparalleled. And I said it. This is what I said. I said, this is the New World's Order plan because he's going to test out. They always use their testing. They're going to use our people as human guinea pigs to set up for the world order monitoring system, tracking system. But what they can't do with citizens, they'll be able to do with illegals or those who have their status over them. I said, watch this. The World Economic Forum set up what they call immigration on purpose to destabilize other countries, to stress the finances and take away all the programs in other countries, and to use the people who would like to stay as the test guinea pigs for the monitoring tracking system. See? So if you have some people that have to check in, folks, it's almost like you come into a country to get a better opportunity on what? On permanent probation. On permanent probation. And that's the way Esau loves it. Why? Because he have no control over Judah over here. Straight up. We've always pushed up against the power. And this is why they use the court systems and all of that as leverage to try to stunt the power or try to stop the power and stunt the rising of Judah here in America. So they can't hold that over us like they can if they bring in brothers and sisters from other countries. Where when you step into the country, automatically you are indebted under a probation, checking in and all of that, as if you're under a probation period. I'm going to tell you what happens next. You heard it here, August 12th, 2026. And guess what? The World Economic Forum didn't show this, but I know what they're going to do next. Okay? The same people that's on TPS that want to stay in the United States, eventually, if they want to stay, the next offer when this war escalates at the end of the year, they are going to get what? Offered permanent citizenship if they're willing to fight in the war. Watch what I'm telling you. They're not just going to do that for those under TPS. They're going to put even people in prison. That's why they talked about dismantling the police. They always had dismantling the police as an option. I mean, dismantling because they're going to stop the prisons. They're not going to need prisons now that they're going to have tracking systems using satellites and all of that where people have to stay in their homes. See? That's what your lockdown thing under Fauci, under so-called COVID, was truly about. Now that Fauci is pleading the fifth, telling people that there was really no need for lockdowns. But guess what? It was what? It was training the people for what's to come, where people will be locked down and monitored in their homes, and they're using this TPS, that's right, ankle bracelet monitoring, as part of the Beast beta test before rolling it out for the whole citizenry of the world, folks. But it's not going to be an ankle bracelet. Okay? You heard it here first. It's going to be a microchip, whether it be embedded in the head through Neuralink or under the skin of the right, preferably the right, or the left hand if a person don't have a hand. Right? So I told y'all, and here it is. Here it is, folks. Fair use. And they love to, they love to do humiliation rituals on our people. Fair use. CNN. The first thing they do is hone in first on this brother's elder lawyer. This is a straight up humiliation ritual. They start off, these, a lot of them, these sodomites and all these others at CNN, they love making jokes out of our people. So he told the cameraman coming out of the news van, make sure you hone in on the ankle bracelet. Now, I don't know about how old you are, brothers and sisters, but folks, after China have made the microchip, there's no need to put HS tape that went into the old. Now tell me that this is not a humiliation ritual. I told the lawyer beforehand, I'm like, man, listen, what, they don't even make bell bottoms no more, so he can't even cover this thing. They got out of, they came straight out of the van and said, make sure you hone in on this monstrosity of equipment strapped around the brother's ankle. Fair use.
Monsanto Mole, an immigrant from Haiti, collapsed to the ground in tears after leaving with an ankle monitor from an ICE check-in on Sunday. This comes after the Supreme Court cleared the way, and a federal judge earlier this month allowed the Trump administration to end temporary protection for hundreds of thousands of Haitians. Mole has lived in the U.S. since 2023 and explains why he fled Haiti through an interpreter.
So the reason why I fled the country is just because I was not feeling safe, because I've been even chased by other people and hit me on the back of my head.
CNN has reached out to the Department of Homeland Security to learn more about Mole's case.
Fair use.
Monsanto Mole.
Brothers and sisters, they love the humiliation ritual. Now, don't let them try to put this on Trump, folks. Okay? This is not, either side is doing this, okay? Now, if anything, Levi, Benjamin, and all of that, when you come over to the United States, you have to lean on Judah so that Judah can give you the insight of the Edomite that's ruling America. They use the same playbook over and over and over again. What's the playbook? It's the same playbook that happened when we came from the South, even though our family was living in the South, but we came up north to work and would visit back and forth down south. When we came from down south, folks, and I go back to what? Diamond Street, Strawberry Mansion. Folks, all of these were Jewish communities initially. That's why they call it Strawberry Mansion, where these houses were so big they would break them down and make them into apartments where you can get 5 or 6 apartments out of one house. I was living, you're right? I was living on Diamond Street. Why do you think it called it Diamond Street? It was the rich district for Jews. When my family came over here to the north, right? My mother was originally North Carolina. My father, Virginia. They met in Louisiana. When we came here, it was the Jewish people who were the merchants, who owned the corner stores, who owned the butcher shop around the corner. Right there at 15th and Susquehanna was a butcher shop across from the school. See? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing where they'll cycle people out through a social engineering scenario, keeping our people as what? The bottom caste. And it doesn't matter who's in those stores. Whether they cycle out the 10 tribes, whether they bring in the Haitians now or the other people, they're going to use these people to press against Judah. And they don't care about the shops, the stores and all that, because these are the same stores they used to have. It goes back to the bank anyway, and then the bank will give it to the next people who's willing to come in to usurp Judah. And this is why the truth is so important in identifying the 12 tribes of Israel, to have you understand that the black man is under attack. Because they're seeking to divide us. They'll bring people over and say, you know, that we don't work and all that. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. Let me make it clear. That's a lie claiming we don't work. But you're going to pay us what you're supposed to pay us. Because we fight for everything, okay? Especially after not paying our foreparents for hundreds of years who work here for free. So there's a different outlook. Somebody can come in from another country and see, well, hold up, I'll work for this. When we don't see it that way. Nah, we don't see it that way, folks. We're different. So it's not that we don't work hard. Yeah, we're going to work, but you're going to pay us the going wage. Okay? And that's the whole thing, folks. Folks, I remember, lawyer. And see, and that's why I believe that they didn't want our brothers Levi and Benjamin to come next to us and talk to us to why we deal with the system differently than they do when they arrive. They should have spoken with us. Nah, we're different. Don't make us better, but we understand that you cannot trust them. That anything you're going to get from them, you have to get it up front and force them to be honest when it comes to them, when it comes to how they deal with us. Okay? We understand that as a people. We're not happy with someone just throwing trinkets at us. Elder Lawyer, the example that I make, right? Here it is. And here's a small example. And then I'm going to get it back on track here. I think one of the first jobs I had, right? I used to work summer school, doing certain things, dancing and all that growing up. But then I had a regular job at Houlihan's, the one that used to be there at 18th and Chancellor at Rittenhouse Square, right? And I'm showing you the difference. Man, we was making hands over fists as busboys at this particular restaurant. We was making more than managers as busboys, okay? And I'm talking about cleaning tables, flipping tables and all that, taking ice to the bar and doing all of this and making sure we do extra things for customers. We was making more than managers as busboys. I'm talking about 17, 18 years of age, right? So here it is. I'm just putting this out there for my brothers and sisters who come over here to show you the difference of how Judah operates. The guy, his name is Jim Wolf. May the Lord rest his soul. I heard he passed over. He kept on kicking the can down the road, Elder Lawyer, when it comes to he was supposed to give us $1 raise. That was back then. You can hope for 50-cent raise, right? Now,
Right.
we weren't making much because the majority of our money came from tips, but he promised us $1 raise, right? He kept on kicking the can down the road. I said, you know what? This guy think we playing with him, right? What was the most money Houlihan's would make at any time of year was St. Patty's Day. So what did old Richard do? And folks, I'm talking about 18 years old. I got all the bus boys together because you weren't going to do anything if we and guess what? Everybody coming in with their green beads and all that. And we all stayed on the outside of the store and didn't go in. I got everybody together and said, guess what? If he don't give us this $1 raise, they're gonna have hundreds of people coming in here, okay, with no assistance. I'm like, it's too late to hire somebody. And guess what, folks? They came downstairs. Hey, Rich, what y'all doing? Slice, what y'all doing? I'm like, you listen, bro. You said you gonna give us a raise. We tired of this. Listen, are we gonna do this right or should we go home? And he laughed at me. Oh, Wolf, he took his finger. He says, boy, he says, come on in here, come upstairs. I'll give it to y'all right now. Go to work. But he looked at me, and the way he looked at me, he kind of admired the fight that was in young men. Okay? He admired it. He looked at it, he says, this is Rich, ain't it? I'm like, he says, okay. He said, come upstairs. Y'all got your $1. Get to work. And he started laughing. And I'm telling brothers, there's no such thing as us being lazy. That's the lie they sold those to play our own brothers and sisters against us.
That's right.
Okay? No. You're going to pay me what the white man is getting paid, or even more, because I bring more. So if you're not, and that's why they opened up jobs to other people to come through, because people are willing to work for less money. We're not lazy. How can you build a whole country and fight against injustice being the minority and be lazy too? So what they would like to point to, Elder Lawyer, they would like to point to the underbelly of our society and point to the people they place our people around who aren't doing well. That's what they do. They don't place them around people who are high in academia, high intelligence, those who run whole neighborhoods and all these others, those who are doctors and those who have prestigious influence. They don't have our people who come over around people like that, and that's intentional too, because these are the men and women who will put them down with the Edomite that operates here. Right? So I wanted to put that out there before jumping in. And this is why, and guess what? What you see here is not a Trump thing. It's a Democrat thing too. It's intentional. They love to humiliate the black man. They love that humiliation ritual. I'm going to tell you that right now. They love the humiliation ritual. So let's talk now. So the whole thing, folks, is they want to use immigrants to destabilize the world as a divide and conquer strategy against the tribe of Judah everywhere. Right? Now, when I say the tribe of Judah, brothers and sisters, we're talking about the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, those of Judea who went in to West Africa. Okay? This guy right here would have been considered a Levite. The Haitians are from the stock of Moses and Aaron's priesthood. The Levitical priesthood of the Almighty. This man would be considered, if he was living in ancient times, a Levite. And never go with their garbage DNA circular confusion when it comes to genetic testing. That's just for you to give them your DNA, folks. That stuff has already been proven to be a farce. They're known to perform hoax through science. They're known for this. Okay? So again, this man would be considered a Levite. You can't go to the enemy science to get insight to who your forefathers were. Okay? The only way they can tell you where you're from, if they can actually have the actual specimen, the ancient specimen to compare all genetics to. But they have connected all genetics connected to their lion out of Africa theory. And we're going to talk about it tonight. All of their science leads to a dead road, a straight dead end on purpose. On purpose. Let's go to Jeremiah 17. I'm going to show you how these guys pulled off the greatest hoax. Esau, the greatest hoax in human history, was hiding the tribe of Judah. See, I don't have to point to what's not to teach the truth. We can just point to the people of truth out of the Bible. And the Bible in of itself exposes the lie. Elder Lawyer, if you will, let's go to Jeremiah 17. Right?
Yes, sir.
I have it here. And let's go down to the which says we would discontinue from our heritage.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah 17 and verse 4.
Read it. Heritage. Now, you think the enemy is going to give you a DNA test? If you take DNA, it directs you back to the lie they created. Every time. A dead end. And again, and this is no slight to the many nations who live in Africa. Folks, all people don't come from Africa. That's a lie. We are not Africans. That's a lie. That's a lie. Some of you need to, and I'm going to read this in a second. Some of you need to read the book, Economic Hitman. Why certain countries are in particular are where the lost tribes of Israel are scattered in number. Anywhere in the earth, if they kept third world, the children of Israel lives there. Under economic hitman, they will keep the children of God at a certain low status on purpose. Okay? And the reason they do so with the banks and others destabilizing countries is now they can take what? They can take the best from every country and utilize it against another country. See? They can move people around who are destabilized, who need a better standard of living. That's intentional. It's like pawns on the board. You can use them and they'll be what? They'll ingratiate themselves to those who are giving them a better life. When really these people are being used as insurgents to destabilize other areas. That's the plan. See? You destabilize a country and you look at their best and brightest and say, hey, I'm going to take the best and brightest and bring them over here to destabilize this country. So when they get jobs here or in other places, it's taken away from the people who would use that. The political gain and upward mobility for the people of the soil. And by doing it this way, they're taking away those with the political status and the strength and education who would be there to help their people in that particular country. See that? But it's still Esau moving all the pieces around. See? So they use America as a form of bait. Our kingdom is coming through Christ. Well, they have made America into the kingdom that Satan would promise to the Gentiles and the other nations. If they would what? Agree together against the tribe of Judah. America is their kingdom. See? So now you're moved out of poverty into the land of milk and honey. If you can agree with coming against Judah. See? The Bible states that what? That thou shalt even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage. Read.
That I gave thee.
Read.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So we made the Most High angry through following the Gentiles. Thank you, child of the Most High, to them, and believe they're gonna spit the truth back to you. Okay? So no, they would never tell you who you are, especially with their plans against us. And we're going to talk about those plans, and you'll never see the healthcare system. Talk about those plans, and you'll never see the healthcare system and the social constructs. Well, according to Deuteronomy 28, social constructs. Well, according to Deuteronomy 28, we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and we would serve the other nations and go in to America by the means of ships. We would be moved west. Folks, we were here before the Mayflower. Under the 10 tribes who came over, the 10 tribes were already here. We come here. And don't forget, even before the slave ships, we were coming back and forth interacting with the 10 tribes over here. So let me slow walk this for you. All right? The Lost Tribes in the Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders. A white man. Well, he went to the archaeology and history of our people that was here already, who became reclassified. There's another pastor by the name of Ethan Smith who also went back to England and Europe and told them, hey, those Indians over there, they're black. Okay? They're not savages. We have proof that they have Phoenician Hebrew carvings in their caves. These people are the lost tribes. Ethan Smith, a white pastor and historian, look him up. Folks, when I grew up, Elder Lawyer, I think I'm showing my age. Folks, do y'all know that the original Lone Ranger in Tonto, that Tonto was black? The Gadites were all black. I don't know if I'm showing my age right now, but the Lone Ranger in Tonto. Let me see. Let me see. Here it is. Right? Now they try to show him. I'm gonna tell you, the original Lone Ranger, he was real dark. The original Redskins, the helmet of the Redskins was showing a black man. The original Redskins helmet. Let me show you. Let me show y'all here. Look at this. Huh? Look at that. Folks, they didn't take the Redskins logo off of the helmet for some type of stance against racism, folks. Okay? Ethan Smith, they all came back and said that the tribes over here in America are black people. Okay? And then we joined later in the slave trade. Later. So they didn't take the logo off of the helmets due to some respect to the North American Indians, because the people you see as North American Indians today that's over all these reservations and all that, these people aren't the original people. They reclassified our people and threw the Gadites amongst the Negroids. That's where you get the Seminoles from, who never signed a peace treaty and fought against the injustice of America, folks. So the Bible says we would discontinue from our heritage. Our heritage are the fact that we are from the lost tribes of Israel. Now let me go back to the book. I superimpose the pages so y'all can read it. And folks, a lot of these records were being taken back to Spain and all of that. In September 1644, a Portuguese Marano named Antonio de Montesinos arrived in Amsterdam after having lived for some years in South America, and proceeded to tell the leaders of the recently established Jewish community there's a story that caused them to think of him as a latter-day Eldad the Danite. Well, 2.5 years before he told them, while traveling in the wild mountains of Quito, he had heard some of his Indian guides remark that the natives of that country deserved all the suffering they had undergone at the hand of the Spaniards. When he asked to explain why they thought such a thing, that they had replied mysteriously that it was because we so badly treated a holy people. But Montesinos, not seeing their full meaning in that moment, he put the whole matter out of mind for the time being. Upon his return to Cartagena, the Judaizing Montesinos had found himself accused by the Inquisition and put in prison. Praying for salvation in his cell one day, he was reciting what was by then a standard formula, next page, among new Moranos. Blessed be the name of the Lord, who has not made an idolater, a barbarian, a Negro, an Indian. When suddenly be stopped, those Indians, he told himself, they are Hebrews. He says he told himself they are Hebrews. Pondering this thought incredulously and yet with growing conviction, he resolved that if he ever was released, he would seek out the Indian Francisco and try to learn the truth. Montesinos' story, unclear to the circumstances of incarceration, is equally unclear as to those of his release. He resolved that if he ever was released, he would seek out the Indian Francisco and try to learn the truth. Barbarian, a Negro, an Indian. When suddenly be stopped, those Indians, he told himself, they are Hebrews. He says he told himself they are Hebrews. Pondering this thought incredulously and yet with growing conviction, he resolved that if he ever was released, he would seek out the Indian Francisco and try to learn the truth. Montesinos' story, unclear to the circumstances of incarceration, is equally unclear as to those of his release. But released he was, and he immediately went to Francisco, revealing himself as a Jew. Montesinos proclaimed his conviction that Francisco's hidden people were of the same race as he. Would Francisco lead him to them? The two men soon back in the rugged mountains in which Francisco had made his initial revelation, marching relentlessly for a week before they finally came to a halt. It was Saturday. Montesinos makes a point of telling us, and they had come to a river larger than the Duero, and there echoes of the Sabaton in all of this. In all of this, here, Francisco announced, is where your brothers will be seen. Waving a banner high in the air, the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke far beyond the other bank of the river. In response to his signal, the two men waited. Eventually, a canoe appeared bearing 3 men and a woman, all of them Indians, to place where Francisco and Montesinos were standing at the water's edge. The woman got off and spoke to Francisco in an Indian tongue that Montesinos could not understand, although he could perceive that it was being identified in the conversation. She then turned to her male companions to explain the situation. Upon hearing her words, they rose, went over to Montesinos, and to his utter astonishment said, Shema Yasha Allah Adonai Allahanu Adonai Akkad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. They had recited in Hebrew the fundamental credo of Judaism. A brief conversation then ensued in their common ancestral tongue. According to Montesinos, whose fluency in it is almost a perplexing perplexing, perplexing to the reader of his narrative as is that of these three mysterious new companions. They told him that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben, and that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby. Boom. See? So here it is, the tribes of Israel knew who they were before the Mayflower, before the white man came to colonize America. All of the tribes knew who they were. So when the conquistadors came, when the other people came, because the Vatican, and later the money of the Rothschilds and all of that was utilized to fast track an education system that would disconnect all of the tribes, not just Judah, from our heritage. From our heritage. Right? See, on the book, you got Mansa Musa, the gold of Timbuktu. That's a Judite there. They knew who the Israelites were. So, how did we come to such a pass? To not understand our worth. Right? Folks, the Gentile nations work 24 hours a day to subjugate and to keep us from coming together and understanding our true worth and our responsibility to our God and to this earth as the chosen people. Our responsibility, our heritage. From our heritage. Right? See, on the book, you got fast track an education system that would disconnect all of the tribes, not just Judah, from our heritage. Such a pass to not understand our worth. Right? Folks, the Gentile nations work 24 hours a day to subjugate and to keep us from coming together and understanding our true worth and our responsibility to our God and to this earth as the chosen people. As the chosen people. So we're going to talk real quick. How did we come to such a pass? Well, they would kill off all those who knew and re-educate the children. And then they would use faulty science. Now, the faulty science was a lie, not just a lie on us, because eventually they knew that we would wake up. They knew that we would find our God eventually. Folks, the lies they set up, believe it or not, initially were to indoctrinate the whites who were coming over, that would be utilized to subjugate and to keep us under subjection. Okay? They would re-educate the whites who were coming over from Europe under the science, the faulty science they created. That would what? Automatically, it would bring the whites into a mind not to have a conscience towards us as people. Because based on the science they was teaching, the people they found and subjugated were less than people. And they would always claim, well, we have the science. So the science folks was to keep initially the white classifications of people, whether it be from any parts of Europe, that's right, to see us anything other than who we were as God's people. And therefore, it would justify segregation. See? They would use the science for this. I'm going to show you tonight. That's why you cannot trust their science for anything, understanding its origin. Okay? You can't trust it. Now, let me show you. Let me show you now. So eventually, you have the Indian tribes already here. And then the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28 and 68 happens, where the Most High said he would bring us over in slave ships. And then we start to come over here to the Caribbeans and different parts of Brazil. And a lot of us was here in America. A few ships came here to America, where Judah would come here and one day rise and be that voice that would begin the awakening of God's people throughout the earth that happened predominantly within the 50s and the 60s, where Judah began to what? Stand up for civil rights and injustice throughout the earth, becoming the moral compass. So the awakening, folks, started back at the 60s. Really, the time we're living in right now, a lot of us fell back asleep. But during the 60s, that was another time period. The Most High he had to have been doing something in the heavens during the 60s, where it doesn't matter what we believe, we were all on code in America against injustice. Not just injustice in America, but for all those who are being treated wrong around the globe. Right? So then we come here with Judah. Judah comes here and now do what? Begin to make all the inventions and all of that here in America. We were dealing with electricity in Africa, folks. A matter of fact, Africa has regressed since we left. And that was intentional. Africa has regressed. They tore down those old empires that were standing against Esau back then. That's right, folks. They tore all of those down and redistributed these people into new nations colonized by Esau. We were well advanced. We made over 50 to 60,000 inventions here in America, folks. Our own school systems, all of that. We had to because we were segregated. Now, going back to how they would lie to their own people now. Why they would lie to their own people? Because automatically you'd have to program white people that was coming over that they were dealing with a got some receipts. By the time slavery was over, Esau had to come up with a new plan. We have to dehumanize the black man here in America. We have to come up with some science, even though we know the science is bogus. We have to come up with science through academia to train the poor whites that are coming over from Ireland, England, and all that we found scientifically that the black man is a lesser species. So if you program that into whites who come over, automatically, even though they're poorer than us, they came over from England and others, they were poorer than the black people who owned land here in the 1900s, folks. Okay? We talking about sharecroppers, people with land and all that after slavery. So you would come over here, a poor white man, and automatically, Elder Lawyer, I'm going to send you the document so I don't lose my voice tonight. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to send it to you. I sent it, yeah, right there. So they would have to shape the future of how the black man would be viewed for those who are coming up in the 20th century. Because we had the moral high ground after getting subjugated in captivity. We were rising as a people here in America. We had our own churches. We had our own towns. We had our own universities. So we were catching up. And eventually we would have been doing world trade and all that, folks. We had our own banks. We were circulating money amongst ourselves. See? And we had all the entertainment, ingenuity. China wasn't making nothing for us. We were the labor of what? Of the greatest first world country on the earth. There was no outsourcing work to China. That's stupid. So there was a document that was written concerning how they would use science and eugenics to subjugate our people. Before you read that, Elder, let's start here. 1 second. Let's start here. So check out this bogus science, brothers and sisters. Check out the bogus science. So they came up, notice the same time period, the late 19th, early 20th century, where they started coming up with these bogus theories that men came from apes. Now they knew this was bogus. It was called the Piltman Man. It was a famous scientific hoax, the missing link. In 1912, amateur archaeologist Charles Dawson claimed he found fossil fragments in a gravel pit in Piltdown, England. The bones consisting of a human skull and orangutan jaw with filed teeth were falsely presented as the missing link between apes and humans. So they came up with a scientific hoax, put it into what? Journals and all of this amongst academia, and they was teaching this in college. And a lot of people want to ask, well, what does this have to do with us? Well, they were coming up with a theory that black people are from apes or at a lower stage of the evolution, which justify whites to treat us as subhuman. So this is the programming that's being given to poor whites coming into America. And we're minding our business. We're going to church. We're doing the things that we do. We're serving our God. We're not Muslims. We're nothing. We're all Christians here just serving our God. And you have Esau cooking up a conspiracy that would have people who come over to the United States hate the people who aren't bothering anyone. They came up with that garbage, Big Bang Theory, and all of that hot, stinking mess they called science. Right? Now look at this. The Piltman hoax. Now, folks, I need y'all to look at this picture. Look at this picture. A group Barlow, G. Elliott Smith, Charles Dawson, Arthur Smith Woodward, front row, S. Underwood, Arthur Keith, W.P. Pycraft, and Ray Lancaster. Note that the portrait of Charles Darwin on the wall. Look at this. Way back there. Who's on the wall, folks? The demon Charles. Look at it right here. The demon Darwin, who came up with Darwin's theory. So they did a portrait right here. The demon Darwin, who came up with